If everybody that was choosing to go on holiday chose to go to somewhere that protects the environment, every single resort would have to change their policy, otherwise they go out of business. You know, it's about consumer choice. Both myself and Maya have been thinking about the environment for most of our lives and concerned about all the things that are happening to the environment and the extra pressures and stuff, but just got fed up with talking about it. So we sort of made an agreement that we weren't going to talk about it anymore unless we were going to do something. But just to complain, it's just a waste of time. When I first came here and saw how beautiful it was and started diving here, my original plan was to start a little centre where we could do conservation, but I couldn't actually see a way to fund it. So the resort kind of grew out of that. It was more really the resort that came out of the conservation as opposed to the conservation that came out of the resort. Yeah.
This beautiful long ridge to the south-southwest, which we did a little bit of last time. I think
It started 2003, I think. The main thing was that we sourced all the timber from salvaged wood, so we didn't cut down any trees to build the resort. So we started this very long process of like looking for driftwood and dragging it here, rolling it up the beach, cutting it up. Most of the money went to the local people whose house is just in front of the beach to carry the wood and load it onto the boats, which was really great.
This cargo boat, this brings all our supplies from veg and beer and drinking water.
I think this is a wonderful example of how sustainable tourism can work. It's a difficult balance to achieve, but I think they've done it very effectively here.
One of the mistakes that lots of people make building sort of villas in the tropics is they tend to have big glass-fronted doors and windows, and the sun shining on glass is like having a heater in your house. So then you need massive air conditioners to keep it cool, and it becomes very energy inefficient. So, for example, all the roofs are alang, which is a grass thatch roof. We use this because it's a local natural material and because it's a very good insulator. So we made them very, very thick, and the roofs are long, they overhang the walls so the sun doesn't go directly on the windows and the walls. So already through the design, it naturally keeps the room quite cool. We wanted to treat the shower water and the toilet water, the grey water. So we did some research and found these wastewater garden systems. So it's a completely natural system where it's an open tank and you have lots of plants. And naturally occurring bacteria on the roots of the plants, they break down all the waste. So it's treated again.
You can see it's like the profile really fits the environment. It's simple. They haven't tried to go too over the top. But the things that they've done really well. It's really good food. It's very communal. The staff are just relaxed, you know, they're not trying too hard.
I lived in Indonesia for about 10 years and spent most of that time diving and sailing around. And I've seen so many different reefs degrade very, very rapidly through fishing pressure. I guess one of the major pressures, which is diminishing now, but has had a huge impact all over Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, is dynamite fishing. So fishermen just using essentially beer bottles and put in a little fuse, and then they light the fuse, throw it into the water, and as it sinks and explodes, it stuns or kills the fish. But what happens is the impact destroys the coral, and the fact that coral reefs regenerate very slowly, particularly when they've been bombed, because when they've been bombed the superstructure of the reef gets broken up. Aside from that, there's shark finning basically, for the shark fin soup trade, which is mainly driven by China or Chinese countries. And it's estimated over 100 million sharks are killed every year just for their fins. Sharks are apex predators, which means they sit at the top of the food chain, and they're very, very important for the stability of the ecosystem. So one of the things we've done here is create a no fishing zone, which is 425 square kilometers. And we made an agreement with the local community that have the fishing rights to this area to protect the area. So we ourselves don't fish here. That's part of the agreement. They don't fish here, we don't fish here. It's completely no take.
What's interesting about this area is that the Papuan people have a system of adat, which is like traditional, means traditional ownership. So they actually own vast tracts of ocean, and they can kind of do with that what they will. So the guys from the village near here have chosen to lease out an area to Andrew and Marit, and they're seeing the value of it being protected, the value of there being a no fishing zone.
We agreed to patrol the no fishing zone to ensure people from the outside don't come in and fish, and also people from the local community don't break the rules. The rangers are from the local community, so we spent like a couple of years sort of training them up and working out standard operating procedures and stuff. And so they go out normally every other day, sometimes every day. When I hear the senior members of my staff that come from the local community, most of them are very passionate about it. And they're not doing it because they're paid overtime or extra money to do it. They're doing it because they believe it's really important. We're setting up the conservation side of things as a charity, so people can donate. We also have a project with a local school providing a library for them, school materials, and paying the wages of some of the teachers. So people can donate and specifically say it's for the children in the school.
You have like charities working on their own, and the problem in the past is that they haven't really been able to successfully integrate their efforts with all the other stakeholders in an area like this. And conservationists have often been accused of ignoring the requirements of the people who live in certain areas. So at the moment I can see a lot of positive things happening here, where all the different players are being brought into the game, including government, and it's really key. You know?
So certainly, yeah, if I had the choice between here and somewhere else that wasn't so eco-friendly, I would decide to come here purely on that basis. So definitely, yeah, it feels good to support something like this.
You know, it doesn't need to be a choice of a cheap holiday or expensive holiday. You know, there's very cheap holidays that are also very environmentally friendly and support the local communities, and there are expensive luxury resorts that support the environment and the local community, and expensive luxury resorts that don't support anything. So it's really in every category you can make that choice.
When you hear what I'm gonna say.
If everybody that was choosing to go on holiday chose to go to somewhere that protects the environment, every single resort would have to change their policy to protect the environment, otherwise they go out of business. So you'd see a huge change very rapidly, and that comes down just to the individual person booking the holiday.
And it makes no difference who you are.
A small company like ourselves has a bigger impact on the wider picture. It doesn't need to be a government making decisions, it doesn't need to be a big corporation. There is a kind of butterfly effect. Small things make big changes.
I'm talking about freedom. Everything that breathes.
The first time I arrived on this beach, there were dead sharks on the beach, finned. And now I think we've got 15 or 17 juvenile black-tip reef sharks in the bay, and we see sharks on almost every dive, so things like that make me happy.